So it looks as though the proposal for a Great British ISA is going to be dropped by Labour. Now this GB ISA was or maybe the big idea from Jeremy Hunt's last budget as Chancellor. The big idea in question being that you would get an extra £5,000 of ISA allowance, taking the total you could pay in up to £25,000, if the extra was invested just in British companies. Before the election, it was put out to consultation to the financial services industry, which pretty much to a man, and I say that advisedly because it's still pretty much all men, they said bad idea, for a number of reasons. One being that it would complicate an already complicated system, which from its earliest days was supposed to be simple, but never really was. If you're old enough, you may remember PEPs and TESAs, the predecessors of ISAs. Enough said. Another reason I'd say is that investing in big British companies in reality does not do that much to support the British economy. The big oil and pharmaceutical and mining and let's not forget tobacco companies, which make up the biggest part of our FTSE 100, make most of their money abroad in US dollars, and precious little of that actually comes back here. To be truly British, you need to look further down the list at much smaller companies, and for most that means an increase in risk levels, which from our point of view would be fine for some, but not for most of our clients. Looking now at the main medium risk portfolios we recommend, they have between just 5% and at most 15% invested in the UK or in Great British shares. And yes, the biggest chunk in all of those portfolios is in the American stock market, for better or worse. The reason it's there is hopefully for better, as historically that's where the money's made, and it's still the world's biggest. So if your investments are going to be properly spread, it's right that the US should dominate. And if you're looking to the future, in the short term, it's more than likely that interest rates will fall in the US more quickly than they will here, which will be a positive for shares. And the stock markets are what they themselves would describe as agnostic about who wins the election, capitalist tax-cutting Trump, or probably putting more money into the economy by increasing spending, Kamala. The conclusion, I think, is that the Great British ISA alone would not have turned around the trend of reducing investment in our markets on its own. And when fund managers see what they might call the fundamentals changing, then strategies too and the amount they invest in the UK might change. So over to you, Keir, and that, as I've been reminded this week, is Keir, not Kier, Keir and Rachel.